You say yes when you mean no. You smile when you want to scream. You give when you are empty. And you tell yourself you are being kind. People-pleasing is not kindness. It is anxiety wearing a mask of helpfulness, a cage built from childhood wounds and sustained by the need for approval. This is what happens when a soul becomes addicted to the validation of others. What is people-pleasing really about? People-pleasing looks like generosity, but it is control, not controlling others, controlling how others perceive you. At its core, a people-pleaser has outsourced their self-worth to other people. Their value is determined by whether others are satisfied with them. Their worth is conditional on their usefulness. It starts in childhood. A child learns that safety comes from compliance, that love is conditional on obedience, that the way to survive is to make yourself indispensable. And that child grows into an adult who cannot say no, who sacrifices their own needs without hesitation, who feels guilty for having boundaries. The architecture of the people-pleaser. People-pleasers are hyper-aware of others' emotions. They read the room. They sense tension. They anticipate needs. In a healthy person, this is empathy. In a people-pleaser, it becomes obsessive. They believe, subconsciously, that their value comes from what they do, not who they are. If I am useful, I am worthy. If I am helpful, I am good. If I am needed, I am loved. And so they perform until they disappear inside their own performance. The cost of chronic people-pleasing. The body keeps score. When you spend years suppressing your own needs, your nervous system pays the price. Chronic anxiety, burnout, resentment. The cruel irony, the people-pleaser who sacrificed everything to keep others happy ends up isolated. Because the relationships were built on performance, not authenticity. When they finally reach a breaking point, they often withdraw completely. And the people they tried so hard to please end up hurt anyway. Where the Bible interrupts this pattern, Jesus says in Matthew 22, "Love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself, as yourself." This is permission to love yourself, to value your own well-being. But there is something more direct. In Matthew 23, Jesus confronts the religious leaders obsessed with approval. He says they do all their deeds to be seen by others, and he calls it spiritual sickness. Then he says, "Woe to you when everyone speaks well of you." Not blessed. Woe. It is a warning. If everyone likes you, if you never make anyone uncomfortable, something is spiritually wrong. You are not speaking truth. You are performing. The difference between love and people-pleasing. Love is grounded in truth. People-pleasing is grounded in fear. A loving person can say no because they are secure in their own worth. A people-pleaser cannot because their worth is tied to approval. Jesus demonstrated this. He loved people, but did not give them what they wanted. He called out hypocrisy. He allowed people to feel uncomfortable. He was rejected. This is not people-pleasing. This is authentic love. Someone whose value comes from within. Someone who can afford to disappoint because they are not dependent on approval. The roots, why people become people-pleasers. Most people-pleasers do not choose this. They inherit it as a survival mechanism. In a chaotic household, a child learns to read the room because their safety depends on it. In an emotionally unavailable family, a child learns to be useful because usefulness might earn love. In a shame-based environment, a child learns to be perfect because imperfection means rejection. These survival mechanisms help the child navigate a dangerous emotional landscape. But when an adult keeps operating from emergency responses, their entire nervous system lives in survival mode. How people-pleasing becomes spiritual bondage. The people-pleaser begins to think they are being godly. They spiritualize their bondage. They call it love. They call it service. They call it following Jesus. But it is not. It is what fear looks like, what codependency looks like, what a shattered sense of self looks like. Jesus came to set captives free, but a person-pleaser who has spiritualized their bondage cannot be set free because they have convinced themselves this is what love looks like. This is what the gospel demands, and they are wrong. The hard truth about being liked. If you are focused on being liked, you will never be loved because love requires authenticity, and authenticity requires the risk of being disliked. Jesus understood this. He was not universally liked. He made people uncomfortable. He was rejected. And in his rejection, he was more authentically loved than any people pleaser has ever been. Because those who loved him for who he actually was, not for what he could do for them. How to break free. Step 1. Recognize the pattern. Acknowledge that your worth has been conditional on others' approval. Notice when you say yes when you mean no. Step 2. Rebuild your worth. Your worth is not earned. It is inherent. Spend time with this truth. Your value does not come from what you do. It comes from who you are. Step 3. Practice saying no. Start small. No, I cannot do that. Each no is a boundary. Each boundary is reclaiming yourself. Step 4. Tolerate disapproval. You will disappoint people. You will make them uncomfortable. You will not be liked by everyone. And you must be okay with that, because the alternative, disappearing, is worse. Jesus did not come to make us people pleasers. He came to set us free. Free from the need for approval. Free from the tyranny of others' opinions. Free to be authentic. You are not meant to be liked by everyone. You are meant to be true. When you stop trying to be liked, you become genuinely likable. When you stop people-pleasing, you become capable of genuine love. That is freedom. And it is waiting for you on the other side of the last no you have to say.